Good morning, Saints. So happy Monday morning, back to the grind, right? So I pray everybody had a wonderful weekend. Okay, so we're just gonna get off into this thing. This is day three of five traits of a godly woman, and for the man of God, this is important. I know a lot of these, may seem self-explanatory, but us men, we tend to get distracted by a lot of things in this world. And when it comes to dealing with women, and I call it vetting. When you want to vet a woman for a potential wife and a mother of your children, you need to be able to learn. You have to learn to look beyond the outer person of the woman, right? Look beyond the beauty, look beyond the smiles, and look for character. You want to look for integrity. So these five traits of a godly woman, uh, you know, the number one is she a woman of God? Does she have faith? And number two was who influences her? What is her social circle like? And to me that would include like her social media, especially in this day and age with social media, because there's so much from the outside coming in. So who does she listen to? Take advice from, pay attention to that, right? And today, the number three is she tenderhearted? Oh, this is a good one because you don't want a mean woman. I was thinking about this morning as I was preparing, and my first wife, she was mean. Yeah, she was Mexican, and she was mean. I mean, mean for no reason. And 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 see, and we got married. It was a foolish mistake I made. I wasn't walking with the Lord at this time. I've had periods in my life where I'd be on fire for the Lord, and was walking in faith, and then slowly but surely I would backslide. You don't even hear that word a lot no more these days. And then I'd find myself not praying as much, not going to church as much. And that's something you need to be aware of too, man. This walk of faith requires discipline, and you gotta dig in deep, because a lot of times you won't feel like uh, uh, reading your Bible and praying, and just doing the things you need to do as a Christian, and growing in your faith and walking with the Lord. The distractions of this world, and the struggles of life begin to weigh on you, and it'll cause you to just stop walking with the Lord, right? And we begin to try to do things in our own strength, and during that season of your life, it can definitely cause you to choose the wrong woman for you, right? And that was the case with me, with my wife, my first wife, at that particular time, and she was mean. I mean, it was embarrassing, right? And and so you need to look out for that, fellas. Is she tenderhearted? Is she kind? Is she willing to serve? It, look for that. I suggest, like, when you're out in public, just step back out of the moment sometimes, and just watch her, observe her, see how she interacts with people. Does she have a sense of entitlement, right? That out at restaurants, see how she treats the staff, the waiters, and just people around her. Is she critical? Is she looking around and judging, with an air of just a judgmental attitude, just talking about people, right? You want to really, this is important because it shows you a lot about a person, right? And nobody likes that kind of a person, but in a way, we all can be like that if we're not careful, right? But when it comes from vetting for a woman as a potential wife, you definitely don't want the mean one. You want to find a woman who's tenderhearted, who's just gentle in her character. And just kind, right? There's nothing more beautiful from a woman when she's kind, right? A kind woman is a beautiful woman. And is she willing to serve? Is she willing to jump in where she sees that she can lend a hand of support, right? And so if you notice that in a woman, fellas, she's definitely wife material, because it shows how she will raise children, how she will treat you. And we as men, we hate to be. You do not want to be in the company of a mean woman, right? Like I was saying, my first wife, she was mean. and every time we go out to eat or just go to different places, and it was like just always snapping on people and being short with people and always had an attitude with people. I mean, for no reason, you know. And I sit there and just be like, just shaking my head and like, just why are you acting like that, you know? But it hurt. It came from a sense of entitlement and her having an attitude of thinking she was just better than most people in the world, right? It was just a arrogant, entitled attitude that just caused her to just be nasty, you know, right? And and yeah, so yeah, that she came to mind as I was studying this out today. Is the woman that you're vetting tender-hearted? Is she kind? And so yeah, I just had to draw a comparison. so fellas, you definitely don't want a mean woman, right? Nobody does, right? And then don't be mean yourself. I know I had a problem with that, and I still do. In my nature, my character, my flesh, you know, I could be mean at times too. And so there, you know, it was no wonder that I had attracted that, right, as my first wife, right? But she was on a whole nother level of meanness, you know. There was nothing tender about her at all. so, and I laugh just thinking about it now. You know, it's funny because as we get older, you know, you get to thinking back about, you know, your life, you know, in the past. And it's just amazing that, you know, it's only by God's grace that we just make it through this world, you know. And especially in this walk of faith, it truly is a miracle in itself. Just being living a life as a successful Christian, and we're not perfect. You know, we don't. You can't strive. You know, our perfection is in Christ, right? But the Lord, He just calls us to excellence. Just do your best. You know, walk in faith and learn from your mistakes, and just keep pushing forward. You know, and so that's key. That's key there. And like I said, gentlemen, you want to vet a woman for a wife, right? And I am absolutely going to be making a distinction between vetting and dating, okay? I look at it like that dating is for passion. If you're dating a woman, you're not vetting her. You're just trying to have some fun, right? And that's dating for passion. You want to vet for purpose, right? We are vetting each other for purpose, okay? So there's a big distinction in that, and I want that to get down deep in your souls, gentlemen. And so I make these devotionals to equip the man of God moving forward, right? And I know that most men are going to be younger, and I know a lot of this just comes from living and learning. Okay, but if you take these key points and make it part of your routine in life, and be intentional about what you're doing, be intentional about your faith, be intentional about just your purpose, you know, in serving the Lord and being a disciple of Jesus, right? And then if you choose, like I say, to start a family, you definitely want to be intentional about the woman that you select as your potential wife, right? And so these five traits of a godly woman is definitely is something that you want to implement, you know, in your decision making. Okay, these women are out here. You know, a lot of this really comes from it emanate from a woman who's has faith in the Lord and who walks with the Lord. Right. These traits, these five traits, will be self evident. Right. As long and as well as the fruit of the spirit. And so, lastly, with this, you know, I just think about my past a lot. A lot of these things, you know, these girls, when I was coming up, these girls was actually brought up like this, right? Because their mothers were okay. So it was just the traditional woman was the mother and the grandmother. Then the daughters, of course, were being raised to be the same way, and so being kind and being women of God and you know having positive influences in their life, that was the norm. But we tend, but back then it was us guys that was hurting and harming and messing that up with these good girls. But now we live in such an upside down world. This It's like the situation has reversed itself, and we see that the majority of these women out here are like the modern woman, and they pulled away from traditional values, right? And so so yeah, you just got to be very intentional. You come across the good girl, the godly woman, the lady who's traditional in her values and upbringing, then you absolutely need to be on your best game possible and don't want to upset the apple cart with that. Okay, fellas, that's a rare find these days, and you need to cherish and value a woman that's a godly woman. Okay, you don't want to mess that up like we fellas tend to do. Okay. So just be mindful of that. Keep that in mind when you do come across a lady who exhibit these traits, right? Who has a traditional value, mindset, and his wife material, right? You definitely do not want to mess that up. So be on your best game. Stay connected to Jesus and your faith, and then keep moving forward with your purpose, right? And it'll work itself out. All right, so that's all I got for this morning's devotional. It's a beautiful morning this today, and so I pray that you have a wonderful day today. That your faith be increased. All I ask, if you got any value out of this devotional, to take 5 minutes and give it unto the Lord, and that's my only requirement. And so, thank you for watching, and let's continue to be light and let's be salt.